Well, hello, good evening, welcome. This is Ghana Tonight. We're live on News at Desawe Kanda, also live on 23 Ghana on Facebook, DSTV channel 279. We're all across the world on 3news.com. I am Alfred Okanse. Tonight, persons named in an illegal mining report presented to the presidency by former Minister of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng, react to the damning allegations and revelations in the report. We have a big conversation on this matter. Stay with us. Also, we continue our conversation on the debacle surrounding the Tamale refinery, which has been struggling to stay viable amidst internal agitations. We engage the workers on how they want the company to be managed. Stay with me. They are asking that the managing director should be sacked. We'll find out a bit more. But you know what? This explosive detail from a said report by the former Minister of Environment, Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng, got a lot of you talking, and the reactions indeed, it's been described as a bombshell. And guess what? We're going to spend a lot of time tonight getting into the various aspects of this particular report, and we'll be getting some reactions. Stay with me exclusively here on Ghana Tonight. Connect with me as always. These issues matter to you as well as it matters to us. The hashtag is Ghana Tonight on Facebook and Twitter. Let's get talking. Well, let's settle for Ghana Briefs. The Speaker of Parliament has recalled members of Parliament for an urgent business on Tuesday, May 2. A letter signed and dispatched by the Speaker, who is out of the country, has asked the MPs to be present in their numbers for the urgent business. A Facebook post by the Minority Leader, Kesela Tuforsin, indicates the purpose of their recall is for the House to approve some loan agreements. Former Minister of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng, has alleged that some top government and NPP officials are engaged in illegal mining, popularly known as galamsey. In a 36-page letter of report to the President, the Chief of Staff and the Ghana Police Service, Professor Frimpong Boateng said his efforts at fighting illegal mining were frustrated by some government officials, some of whom are in the office of the President. Economist with the University of Ghana Business School, Professor Lord Mensah, says the next phase of government's domestic debt restructuring could further dampen investor interest in future bonds. This follows a meeting between government, the Chamber of Pension Trustees, and the Ghana Individual Bondholders Forum in an attempt to discuss a possible restructuring of debts that would possibly affect pension funds.
It's not good for the country because there are uncertainties surrounding debt restructuring. Keeps on prolonging. And at the end of the day, if we don't take care, the cost that will be involved as a result of reduction in investor sentiment, investors' interest in bonds is going to be very, very huge compared to the benefit that we're supposed to rake in from the debt restructuring.
Organized Labour has cautioned individual unions and their pension scheme fund managers to stay away from government's new debt restructuring program. Spokesperson of Organized Labour, Dr. Yauba, gave the warning at an emergency news conference in Accra. Former President and flag bearer hopeful of the opposition National Democratic Congress says the NDC will in 2024 go to the Electoral Commission strong room more determined. He was addressing delegates on his Greater Accra regional tour.
We're going to match them at the collation centers. We will be in the collation centers until the last ballot is accounted for. We're going to match them in the EC strong room. This time we don't want tea, we don't want biscuits.
Well, you can find more on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. This explosive report, which has been leaked to the public, authored by Professor Kwabena Frimpong-Boateng, the former Minister of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation. Let me just put it on record that we've reached him privately, and he has indeed confirmed that the details of the said report, which was leaked, are actually a reflection of what he sent to the Chief of Staff and the President sometime in March 2021. So he has confirmed the details of this particular report. Now, here's what we're going to do. We'll spend a lot of time getting into aspects of the details of this report. It's about 36 pages. We cannot get into the full detail, but we've selected some specific areas which obviously then gives credence to concerns that have been raised about the fight against illegal mining, whether there's enough political will to fight illegal mining in this country, and also to put it on record that we are just going to go into the details of the report and not in any way put up a judgment, as it were, to mean that the people who are captured in this report as alleged to have been involved in one report or the other are actually implicated in this particular report. So we're going to put in the details as has been serialized. But take a look at this. This is just one aspect of the report, okay? Professor Frimpong-Boateng says, throughout the struggle with illegalities in the small-scale mining sector, what baffled him was the total disregard of the president's commitment to protect the environment. He can state without any equivocation that many party officials from the national to the unit committee level had their friends, PAs, that's personal assistants, agents, relatives, financiers, or even others engaged in illegal mining. That's Professor Frimpong-Boateng's word in there. Now, one of such persons he mentioned as being alleged to have been involved in these issues is the former Member of Parliament for the Mansour Debia constituency, Manson Kwanta constituency specifically. He says, although there were allegations that this person allegedly camped delegates and attempted to bribe them, he lost to a lesser-known individual who did not have any financial muscle. So the Honorable Joseph Albert Kwam is going to be speaking to us tonight. We're going to get him to speak to the details of this report as captured by Professor Kwabena Frimpong-Boateng. One other person whose name is mentioned in here is Charles Bissue. Tonight, we'll get into the details of it. Stay with me. We'll be back shortly after this quick break. My colleague, Dennis Wedam, has been looking into this report. We'll have an environmentalist also joining us, plus some people who have been captured in this report and the allegations leveled against them. Stay with me. We will be back with some more detail. Welcome back. This is Ghana Tonight. We're live on 2-3 Ghana on Facebook, DSTV channel 279, all across the world on 3news.com. This 35-page report by Professor Kwabena Frimpong-Boateng, who was then the chair of the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining and then Minister for Environment, Science and Technology, indeed has got lots of questions about it. The details of it are damning. They raise critical questions about the fight against illegal mining in this country, and we've captured aspects of it. My colleague Dennis Wedam is with me in studio. Also, we have Daryl Bosu, who is a Deputy Director, National Director of Arocha Ghana, environmental NGO. They've done a lot of work in the issues of illegal mining in this country. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on Ghana Tonight. Let me start with you, Dennis. First off, which part of the report are we starting off with, especially with the issues that the minister or the former minister raises about the Forestry Commission? Let's start off with that point.
Well, so let's start from the top, where the minister identifies what he calls were the major challenges with this whole activity of managing the mining space. Mind you, the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining was principally to look at small-scale mining and how to streamline it and to give license where there were no licenses, and to see those who were doing it in excess to be able to bring them up to stream so that they'll mine in accordance with law. But then, one key observation he made in his report as a major challenge was to the effect that even forest reserves were given out for mining. And that, according to him, was one of the major things that they had to deal with when they started this thing in 2018.
I see. And this is what we have here. I'm going to put that on the screen right now. So it says the major challenge. That's on page 3, correct?
Yes.
The major challenge that we had in the mining communities occurred in 2018 when the Forestry Commission and the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources itself decided to give out almost all the forest reserves in this country for mining activities. And how many forest reserves was he talking about?
47 of them.
47.
Yeah. So there were 47 forest reserves that he observed that the licenses were granted or issued for mining activities in those areas. And you know outrightly that forest reserves are not supposed to be meant for, mining activities.
Indeed.
And then even to think that the Forestry Commission and the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources are those who are supposed to protect those areas were the same people who had granted licenses or permits for mining activities in those spaces. The minister raised some red flags in that particular regard.
I see. And then this, let's stay on page 3, because he talked about, despite the fact that the cabinet directed the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources to suspend the issuance of all new licenses and permits by the Forestry Commission, unquote, and also to suspend the licensing already issued for operation in the 47 forest reserves, the directives were ignored and the destruction continued, correct?
Correct. So that's one major challenge that he indicated in the report that he encountered. That's very often when directives were issued either by the president or from the presidency, or cabinet decisions were taken, in most instances they were disregarded. And that was a major challenge for him. So if you go further, still on that particular page, he also expressed worry about the use of soldiers who he said in some instances, instead of protecting or going to drive people away from engaging in illegal mining, were rather seen to be protecting illegal mining sites.
I see.
According to him specifically, and with your permission, I'll quote from here.
Great stuff.
And this is on a different matter that has to deal with government officials or people connected with government who played some roles that he thought stood in the way of his work. So he says, what saddened me most was when Mr. Gabi Asare Ochidako called to defend a company that was actively destroying the environment, especially the forest areas, especially the forest and river often in the Apaprama and Krobo forests. If you read further, he goes on to explain how this whole thing came into the picture and the roles that some key government officials or people who are connected to government played.
I see. Great stuff. And let me just put it on record, as we indicated earlier, that yes, we spoke to Professor Frimpong Boateng. We contacted him when we got copies of this report, the 35-page report that's been leaked. He says that the details of it are consistent with what he submitted to the presidency sometime in 2021, March 2021. I think that's the 19th of March, Dennis.
Yes.
Yeah? 19th of March, 2021.
So exactly 2 years and a month.
Just about 2 years and a month, right? Because today is the 20th of April.
Yes.
And he says that, yes, he stands by the details of this report as we have it. We are only running through it as we have seen it, and not to in any way suggest or make conclusive statements indicating that the persons who are being captured in here are guilty or otherwise, as said in the report, because we understand investigations are ongoing. We are giving you just the details as he has confirmed.
Yes, so Alfred, talking about investigations, today also is exactly a month since the president directed that the CID looks into the comments that were made by the former minister on the sister station regarding the involvement of some persons from the Jubilee House, as he put it then. So today exactly is a month that the president instructed that that investigation be carried on.
Interesting stuff.
So we assume that the investigation is actually ongoing.
Great stuff. But take a look at this as well. There's another part of the report where he talks about soldiers, the Operation Vanguard, right, that were deployed to these mining sites, and then also to crack down on illegal mining. Let's look at that. But while you run through the report, Professor Frimpong Boateng himself over time has had to answer questions about, and Dara, I'm going to bring you in here, answer questions about his alleged involvement in the mysterious escape of, or the vanishing of some excavators, 500 of them. At the time when this issue came up, this is what he said. Take a look.
Every excavator that has been stolen will be found.
Why were they stolen? You were sleeping on the job, perhaps?
I was not sleeping on the job.
You have soldiers to guard excavators, yet they went missing. How did that happen?
Pardon me?
You have soldiers as part of the Operation Vanguard protecting these equipment. How did they disappear overnight?
No, they did not disappear overnight. I mean, you will get a fax pretty soon. I don't want to overstep what the security people are doing, the investigators. So let us be patient. You'll get the facts pretty soon.
What do we know about these investigations, about these missing excavators? It's inconclusive, isn't it?
Yeah.
We don't know.
No.
Nobody has been charged
No.
for the excavators that went missing.
No.
How does this report strike you with the details that we're seeing?
Well, I think I have to say that it's for us very shocking, and somehow it brings to light all the things that we had feared were going on and for which dealing with Galamsey has become impossible. We've been dealing with Galamsey for God knows how many years now. I think I can talk about more or less than 10 years now, and we've had series of government. It was first in the NDC period and now in the MPP. But actually it was within this period of a government that we were actually hopeful that we were going to see some very serious actions being taken against Galamsey, because we were all in support of the president during his investiture 2017. Some very bold statements were made, and this is one particular time that we saw the whole nation rally behind leadership and government to see actions taken. Now, we did a lot of work, civil society, media, everybody will rally behind the government. And we realized that for any time we took an action, we were pulled many steps back. Now, this report is telling us that, yes, first, even though the citizens were ready and committed to stop the fire, leadership was not ready. And all the challenges, all the difficulties we're facing were because leadership were actually they were the people derailing every effort to make things happen. And that's why we see that it's even shocking to see that the very state agencies, I mean, if you serialize the report, you come to the inaction of the government after being given certain information, failing to act. You talked about state institutions who are supposed to be in charge of protecting forest reserves, rather now taking the impunity into their own hands, giving out forest reserves for concessions. And then you talk about also the law enforcement agencies who are supposed to be ensuring that the illegalities are curtailed, they themselves now protecting people, and all the politically exposed persons also who ride on the back of their access to government and the executive and ask things to be done. And in all of this, it's the citizens of Ghana who are suffering on the field, trusting and believing that their government is really committed to what they are saying. But I think we know that it has all been for the optics.
Well, Charles Bishop, who was a secretary to this Interministerial Committee on Legal Mining, you know what happened. He had to step aside because of the announced expose and the matters that came up. Dennis, what's the part of the report that talks about the Operation Vanguard, the security agencies and their involvement in the issues of illegal mining as captured in the report?
Well, so it turned out that for Operation Vanguard, you know, there was a point in time where the Operation Vanguard, the soldiers had to be withdrawn. The understanding is that there were complaints from people in the areas in which they operated that there were some confrontations with them, so they had to withdraw the soldiers. Then it turned out that it was taken over fully by the Ghana Police Service. In this particular report, the police are cited to have taken advantage of the situation to be extorting monies from miners. Specifically, the report states that, as can be imagined, there were policemen who were NDC sympathizers, and such individuals touted the miners, telling them, quote, "We were sent by the government you voted for." That such things did not go down well with the MPP sympathizers. But before this, we were told that the police officers took advantage of the situation and they were extorting money from the miners. So that is it on Operation Vanguard. I mean, what he puts in the report as a challenge to.
I see this is page 13. Page 13. Let's go to page 13 of the report. Page 13. Okay, let's go back again. Okay, to the previous page. It says when the soldiers were withdrawn from Operation Vanguard on 16 March 2019 due to complaints by small-scale miners, mainly from the NPP stock, the police detachment took over the entire Operation Vanguard. That's consistent with what you have in there.
Yes.
Let's see. Now, let me bring in Charles Bishu. Charles Bishu was the secretary to this interministerial committee on illegal mining. He's connecting with us on Zoom. Mr. Bishu, thank you for your time on Ghana Tonight. The details of this report, I'm sure you've seen it. The chairman of the committee that you were secretary of says that he was shocked, baffled by what was happening, and indeed makes the point in another part of the report that your committee was stifled of resources. That's why at a point you were inefficient in fighting illegal mining. Is this consistent with the issues?
Okay, thank you and good evening to your listeners. First of all, if it goes on to say that the interministerial committee was stifled with resources, that is not true. The interministerial committee was really resourced to do its work. The president, as he said,
what next?
Earlier, was that he was going to put his presidency on it. It doesn't mean that was a figure of speech. It means that he was going to do anything necessary. So a lot was put into it for us to actually salvage the situation. Now, the report that I've seen out there, as you mentioned earlier, Prof has authenticated it that it actually emanated from him. Yes, I am not privy to his conversation with Gabi. I'm not privy with Lord Kome's, the statement he made about Lord Kome, Nita Kutigu, and the rest. But I am privy to most of the things that he stated in there, which were facts. The fact is that some of the things that he's actually spoke about were sometimes documents that I prepared as a secretary for him, to the committee. And so all I would say is that I'm disappointed that he is coming out at this time, that he has been actually been summoned, or actually the president has asked the CID to investigate the statement that he made regarding the 500 missing excavators that he alleged, or he said, okay, which was in fact not the truth. That he's coming out to say this because he's had this information for over 4 years, and I am privy to that information too. So why now? That's my question. Two, the things that he said, I said I'm not privy to what the discussion he had with Gabi and Nita Kutego and the rest, but the discussion with Kwekubako, yes, I'm privy to that, because Prof called me as the secretary and said that Kwekubako has called to attack him, that every time that he goes to cabinet, he tends to actually attack CNG Alaska and Heritage Imperial, the company, which the general manager was then Donald Ntia. With CNG Alaska, as I mentioned earlier, I was Prof told me about the meeting with them. Donald Ntia, I remember I was in South Africa in 2019 around February, and somebody came to me and told me that Donald said I have been disturbing their company and that they are going to deal with me. And then I came back in February, and then the announced expose came up. I think that you'd want to ask me specific questions, but I'm saying that majority of the things that Prof had written in the document, yes, they're true. With regards to the president disregarding dealing with the Galamsey menace, I'm not sure, because he was the chairman of the committee. So he could have gone to the president and said that, and then he said he did. But he himself, I don't think he should come out to say he's the last one standing, saying that all the committee members left him alone. Was he really listening to them? That's question number one. Because if you have 10 cabinet ministers on or in a committee working with you, I don't think they will just leave the mandate to one person. He knows that there are a lot of things that I know, that maybe he was trying to run the show unilaterally and then leaving the rest, hence not informing the rest about the things that he's doing. But I do not think that the other ministers left the committee to him. I can mention as the secretary, I can mention each and every minister's contribution towards dealing with the problem. Dan Butchie, Kofi Jamesi, who traveled around the whole country with me, Cecilia Dapa, because at a point you realize that Water Resources Commission that works under the Ministry of Water and Sanitation came out with a report that the stability level of the water bodies were good. In Ankobra, the waters were clean.
Okay, that's fine. The point is, you mentioned Donald, that's in Tia. Yes. Donald Ntia. Mr. Bishop, hold on a bit for me. Dennis, who is Donald Ntia as captured in this report and the allegations surrounding him?
So the name Donald Ntia comes as a subheading in the report on page 15, and it comes under another heading that he captures as so-called big men above. He describes Donald Ntia as a co-owner of CJ Alaska, a mining company. Now, this may ring a bell because the circumstances under which he brings in this name and the narrative given. So he describes him like I rightly said, and he says that during the last NDC regime, several mining companies signed MOUs with the Ghana Army that regulated the supply of security services to mining companies. Right. At one point, the soldiers at the site of CJ Alaska were under the command of Captain Mahama.
That is the late Major Mahama.
Exactly. This fine army man was killed while providing security for Donald Ntia and his C&J Alaska. When MPP took over in 2017, all MOUs were cancelled and CJ Alaska hired armed macho men to provide security. Residents in the community bordering the forest reserves complained that they could not enter the forest, and it goes on and on. So essentially, he is a co-owner of C&J Alaska.
Fantastic point. And then also establishing this linkage between the late Major Mahama and the sad events.
Exactly.
But really, Mr. Bishop, I'm not sure what you mean by the minister or the former minister then wanting to act alone or running the show, because in this same report, he singles out the sanitation minister and the local government minister as the ministers who stayed when all the other ministers left. You've seen that report, is it not?
No, it's not true. I traveled across the whole country with Kofi Jamesi, Haji Alima. Every committee, on the committee, every ministry had a role to play. So at every point in time, they cannot all move at the same time. So it gets to a point where it gets to the security bit, then Operation Vanguard, which falls under Defense and Interior, okay? It gets to a point that we have to go around to the DCs, then Haji Alima takes over. Then it gets to the point that where we have to go and speak to chiefs, then Kofi Jamesi takes over. It gets to the point where we need to send information across. Kojo Nkrumah, it started from Mustafa Hamid, then Kojo Nkrumah. Lands Ministry, when it comes to licensing of verification and information from Minerals Commission and all that, it was Amewu and then Trebi. So you can't say that. You can't single a few people out. Everybody worked to it. Even the late Akutua say was in charge of monitoring.
I see.
Was part of it.
But Mr. Earlier you're saying that you don't know why he's kept quiet up until now. There's no evidence that he's the one who actually leaked this report into the public domain. I think that we need to establish that. So if you make the point that he's been quiet all the while and you don't know why he's speaking now, he submitted a report as far back as 2021. Clearly, we don't have any evidence that he is the one who leaked it out to the public. Mr. Bichu.
See, the Galamsey thing, that is bedeviling this country. Prof himself, he's not clean.
What do you mean by that?
He knows that I know a lot, you understand? And for me, an elder, he's a statesman. Or maybe from now, he wants to tell us that he's not. Because when we're building a country, we believe that people like him should come out with the truth. You understand? And I keep asking myself that what sort of country are they bequeathing to us? Is it a country that we all learn how not to be truthful? Because at this age, I believe that there's a future for all of us. And so we do things that Ghana will progress. And then you're made the chairman of a committee. You only come out to speak when you've been actually been directed to go to the CID to be investigated. That's where my problem is. The facts are okay. It is not all of them. I said I'm not privy to certain things, but I'm privy to the Kwekubaku. And even when the Anas expose came out, Kwekubaku had the audacity to warn the president to be careful. These are things that we have to look at. Because for me, in the spirit of defending this country, I'll always speak the truth. And there are so many things that one day might come out, but not to damage this country, but individuals who seem to think, portray that they are protecting this country and are really not. You understand? So Prof, I'm disappointed in him because he knew the whole truth about everything, but he kept quiet. He said that he has informed the president. So at every instance, when these things were happening, couldn't he have gone to the president to report everything, I mean, as and when it happens? Until after he was handing over, then he put that report together. Was it not because he was not given the ministerial role at that time?
Well,
so check the dates.
Mr. Bichu, you know what? If you say that Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng is not clean, exactly what do you mean?
I cannot speak for the president. I don't know what has been done behind the scenes, okay? But I'm saying that all this information that Prof is coming out with, he had them. I was the secretary. I stepped aside in 2019.
I understand. Right? I'm saying if you say he's not clean, what exactly do you mean?
Was he reporting to the president as and when as a committee? Because it was a sub-cabinet committee, right? And then he waited 2021. He waited until he was not appointed as a minister anymore. So if he had been appointed a minister to continue as the Minister of Environment, would he have actually written this report?
Well, but you know what? Listening to you, he makes the point about why no action was taken. And we have indicated earlier, this report, Mr. Bichu, was submitted in 2021, March 2021. Between March 2021 and now, as we're speaking, are you aware of any action that has been taken by the president concerning the details of this report?
I'm not, you see, there are legalities in all these things, but Prof knows that he's not clean himself, you understand? And when he came out to say 500 excavators have gone missing, in the report I've read that he said no, it was somebody who stated it is not true. Because when he stated that on Joy FM, I called him and I said, what you're saying is not factual. And he said he knows what he was doing at the time. You understand? So for me, I've actually given a lot of report to the CID, the BNI. So I will not discuss everything here on TV, but on your platform, I've given every information to the CID and the BNI. They have the report, so they can actually look at that. But my point is that if we're building a nation, then elderly statesmen like Prof shouldn't mislead the country. And I speak in the interest of truth for this country, because what I have gone through with this Galamsey thing, people insulting, and I know within me that I did nothing wrong. And I've always said that vindication dwells in the womb of time. So gradually we will get there. You understand? And I believe that when we're doing things like that, building a nation, doing things for organizations and all that, sometimes people are sacrificed. So if I'm the one that we have to sacrifice for things to see the light of day, then so be it. But I'm saying that he's not being honest to Ghanaians. It is not when. So if I'm going to ask this question again, if he was still the Minister of Environment, would he have actually leaked this report? I'm not allegedly. You understand? Would he have written that report?
That's what I'm saying. That there's no evidence that he released this report.
And that he was the chair.
So I think we need to establish that quite clearly, that there is no evidence that he released this report, Mr. Bishu. That's number one. I've been asking consistently what you mean by he's not clean, but you're not giving specifics and giving details. But his association or alleged association, Mr. Bishu, with illegal mining in the past, as was reported, he has also come out to react to it over time, saying that it is not true. In fact, my colleague Komla Kluche, 3 years ago, put this question to him in Parliament about this particular issue. Take a look.
It is not true. I mean, look at me. I have been around for a very long time. I came back to Ghana from Germany at the age of 39 to set up the National Cadet Trusting Center. The building there was constructed without a cedi contribution from the government. Now I've trained people. I reformed the Ghana Record Society, funded the Ghana Art Foundation to help. Everything that I've done in this world is for Ghanaians. I've not done anything for myself. Look at me. I've not taken bribe before. I've not extorted money from anybody before. I've not done anything wrong before. And it saddens my heart that people can associate me with illegality.
Well, so that's Professor Kwabena from Pomboatin. Daryl, so you see that the inaction, at least from what we do know, if there was any action, we don't know so far, between the time of the submission of the report and now. I'm sure that should concern you, is it not?
Yes, Alfred, I think there's a lot that we all need to be concerned about, because it's not only about those bits that Prof. Frimpong is talking about, that he reported to the president and nothing was done. If you recall, one of the key challenges the Vanguard team spoke about was the fact that of a lot of the arrests they make, we fail to follow up with the necessary prosecution to ensure that all these people in the pit who were acting with impunity were brought to book. We didn't see that happen. Now, the Vanguard left, the police came, and what you see on the ground, these people are not going there to enforce the law. They rather seem to go chat with the people, shake hands, and then they are back.
So the point I'm trying to make...
So you see that there was actually a culture of really just making it look like there was an action going on, but on the real side, nothing really was happening.
So
and that's where this report really
I'm connecting the dots here, Daryl. So
yeah.
You make the point that even beyond this report by Professor Frimpong Boateng, you cite the Operation Vanguard's own report saying that when they arrest the people, nothing happens, and they go back into the forest, they see the same people back in there, correct?
Exactly. And I think this report, as far as I know, if you all remember very well, this report was premised on the fact that he was given an instruction to submit a handing over note. That's where he wrote the report. Now, we moved on from the March 2021, to a regional round of what's called small-scale mining dialogues in April. Now, I'm asking myself, almost all the issues that were captured in the communique on the first day after the Accra dialogue was almost everything that is also captured in the Professor Frimpong's report, except that the communique did not mention names. Because we talked about politically exposed persons who were interfering and causing the work of the causing the work of the team to deal with Galamsey not to be successful. So now you see now we are actually getting to see what was really happening behind the scenes. And that, for me, I think is good for us all to know. And I know a lot of worms are going to come out of the can eventually. And we are all happy. We want to see all of these come, because this is where we are going to make sure that there's transparency and we get to deal with the issues as they are.
Indeed. And we've been discussing this, and not necessarily talking about individuals. We've been talking about the specific issues, because we know that investigations are ongoing, so it's not within our place to pronounce judgment on these allegations. We wait to see the outcome of these investigations. But anybody we have mentioned on this show and their name in this report, we give them a hearing. Okay? One such person is the former member of Parliament for Dennis. This is Manson Kwanta.
Yes.
Correct? Mansour
Yes,
Kwanta
Joseph
in the
Albert
Ashanti
Kwam.
region.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Now, this is a quote associated to him in the report. This is page 12 of the report. We put it on the screen. But Dennis, what does the report say in detail?
So Joseph Albert Kwam, the former member of parliament for Mansour Kwanta, is cited in this report as being an example of MPs and government appointees whose activities accounted for anger at community level. So now, according to this particular report, this member of parliament, as he was then, he also doubled as a member of the board of the Minerals Commission, and that he used his position as a member of the Minerals Commission to acquire several dozens of large-scale concessions in his district, ostensibly for community mining purposes. Allegedly, he ended up selling these concessions to private individuals, including party members, for 200,000 cedis per concession.
Right.
This infuriated a party in the constituency. So during the 2020 primaries to select a candidate to the electorate voted against him. Then he was a sitting MP.
Right. And that's what you see on the screen.
Yes, even though
there.
he was a more resourceful candidate, they voted against him for the acts or the role he allegedly played in this whole Galamsey issue.
I see. So that's the quote you see, and the said former member of parliament for Mansour Kwanta, Joseph Albert Kwam. He's joining us on the telephone. Let's do this. Mr. Albert Kwam, thank you. You are captured in this report, first off, and the details as my colleague just read to you. Is this the case that you are alleged to have acquired multiple dozens of these large-scale concessions, which led to your defeat at the primaries?
My brother, it's most unfortunate. I must say that the statement is totally untrue. Did he say dozens of large-scale concessions?
Yes.
To my hearing. My brother, I do not own even a single concession, let alone dozens. When you say dozens, you are talking about 12, multiples of 12. Either 12, 24, or 144. Are you getting me? I do not even have one concession. In any case, if he claims that I have concessions, you cannot have a concession without a document. Land concession is the same as how we acquire a plot of concession. Are you getting me? Mm-hmm. So if he claims that, he should produce the number of concessions that he feels that I owe in my name before we move to the next level. Because if I don't have a concession, how am I going to sell a concession to someone? Are you getting the point? My brother, at this crucial moment, I may not know that if indeed the report is from Professor Bombouatin, if indeed he has accepted that it is a report, then I will consider the whole report as bogus.
Well, he has confirmed, we've contacted him, that he stands by the details of the report, that it is indeed consistent with what he submitted to the president in 2021. Mr. Kwam.
I will consider the report as bogus. He should retract and apologize to me. Other than that, I will advise myself, because you cannot damage my integrity. This minister who was in charge of interministerial committee, and at some point, interministerial committee was dissolved, and everything was transferred to Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources to take charge of this community mining. So where do I come in?
Well, Professor Kwam, were you a member of the Minerals Commission Board when you were a member of Parliament?
Yes, I am. I was.
I see. So, beyond that, you are saying that while you were there as a member of the Minerals Commission Board, which you have confirmed, you did not acquire any concessions, and even now you don't own even one concession?
Between the period of 2018, till end of 2017 to December 2020.
And you are saying that between that period and now, you don't own, or you haven't even owned even a concession before in your life?
That's what I'm telling you, my brother. I even don't own one. Look, my duty, my core duty, you see, let me tell you this. My constituency, right? My constituency was a Galamsey Broom area. So as a member of parliament, I was fighting to make sure that we get a small-scale designated area for my people to get lands to do proper, legal, small-scale mining. Because I was the lead advocate against the illegal mining, which President Kufuor instituted. He said he would put his life on the line. And I was one of those people who were fighting for the president. And our aim at some point, our aim was to make sure at Minerals Commission to get more designated land in order for illegal miners to get more land to do proper legal mining.
I see. Professor Kwam, so confirm this for me. There's a part of the report that talks about the allegations and I think the issues relating to the primaries that you lost, right? The report alleges that it was because of your acquisition, alleged acquisition of these large-scale concessions. The people that were unhappy, and so they voted against you, even though you were the most resourced candidate during the primaries of the NPP in the constituency that you were a member of parliament of.
Brother, at some point, virtually all the mining communities were under attack. Let me put it on in the case of our government, not because of the ban on small-scale mining, right? A lot of people lost their jobs in the mining communities. So there were a lot of attacks on those people who seemed to be the face of the government and who were the face of the people, the MPs. So these people were on us day and night, putting pressure on us to get a place for them to do their mining, legal mining, not Galamsey. And because of this, you cannot get land anywhere. That is why Minerals Commission came in and created a lot of small-scale designated areas for community mining. And they were not enough. So we being the face of the, let me put it, the government as well as the party, were under threat. And that is why even if you go to Bogoso, where Barbara Otinjisi, she lost.
Okay.
I lost. Even Honorable Duka, the Deputy Minister for Lands, really lost his seat. It's not only that place. Go to Amansia South. Now Deputy Minister of Agric. I'm talking about Ado Frimpong. Ado Frimpong saved his seat with, I think, about only 200 votes. I'm not talking about the distance, the primaries. I'm talking about even the normal election, the general election. So that is how the scenario is. I was the lead advocate for this fight against illegal mining. Are you getting me? So the satellite was on me.
Okay, you're saying...
And in this country, everybody is aware that I was the lead advocate against illegal mining. So where from this?
Well, so you say you're going to advise yourself. So we'll see how the coming days will look like. But this is the part of the report that captures and makes reference to you. But thank you for joining us on Ghana Tonight. Professor Joseph Kwam is the former Member of Parliament for Manson Kwanta constituency in the Ashanti region. Now, so we've gone through it. You've seen the full details of it. What do you expect to be done next to send the clear signal that indeed, contrary to what the details of this report alleges, there's actually the commitment, the political will to fight illegal mining?
Alfred, that's a very difficult question because, as you know, there's already a lot on the plate that is not being dealt with or is pending. We have the Ashawan case pending, several other cases of illegal mining in the various districts also pending. And even as we speak, you go to the ground and there are a lot of people in forest reserves across the country depleting these forests because they are doing galamsey, they're engaging in mining one way or the other. So for me, I think that at this point, I said we need to look at getting some very independent state institutions that have some semblance of independence, like the SHRAJ, and also look at the Office of the Special Prosecutor, these institutions to look at this case again. And I think that we should, even if they are going to constitute a committee or anything to look at the outcome of this particular report, it shouldn't be the same people we already know. We've had the cases where we want to deal with galamsey, we set up district committees on illegal mining, and it's the same institutions we are pinpointing that they are responsible for the illegalities. They are those same institutions that are in these committees. You don't have any voices of reason or neutral, objective minds in those committees to really ensure that the right things are done. So we want to see that something different. I'm actually trying to ask myself, from what we have seen so far, what can be different? But I think we wait to see. And I think this is where I also charge our leadership to show us that they really are in charge. Because if this report in all its content, in terms of the substance of it and the content, if it's all true as it is, then we really don't have any leadership in terms of dealing with galamsey. And it's all been just a facade.
Great stuff. Darrell, thank you. And Dennis, what was our part about community mining, correct? This is page 14 of the report that we're going to put on this. That's just what you see there. And
yes, so the issue on community mining, essentially this report says that it hit a snag because there was an internal struggle in the sense that the minister then, who was in charge of lands and natural resources, as well as the Minerals Commission, thought mining activities were within their purview. They could not understand why that was taken to be under the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining. So there was some sort of power struggle in there. And according to the report, there was some sort of antagonism from those people in charge of those ministries and then agency.
Fantastic work, Dennis. I appreciate you, as always. Bob Berry, Dennis Wadam, a colleague here with the news planning team, giving details of this report. You can find serialized aspect of it on 3news.com. Thank you to you as well, Daryl Bosu, Deputy National Director, Arocha Ghana Environmental NGO. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. And to you, our viewers, we appreciate your time. Stay with us across all media general platforms because we'll keep talking about various aspects of this report. I am Alfred Okansi.